Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Carrying on an incredible conversation, helping you deal with anxiety and, of course, maybe some homeowners or potential homeowners that are going through the most right now. We got you. Listen to this. Now, with over 2 decades of experience in real estate, that has included developments, sales, and negotiations. Ross Levine, the managing director for SEEF Atlantic Seaboard, joins us again in our Money Matters discussion. And we're chatting about this thing that we call our property, home owning, being an owner of land. It's an important thing for many of us, and we're going to find out if this is a good time to do it or not. Ross, we are diving into this conversation because I love that first setup right now.
Yeah.
I'm ready to make the decision. I think Mzansi is as well.
Yeah, well, you've done it, man.
Yeah.
So you can speak from experience. We're really proud of how you've handled that. Granted, it felt like he built most of the house himself or rebuilt everything. Because he's got those kind of skills. Let's talk about area, as I have to laugh. So getting my kids into the southern suburbs school zone meant moving away from what started out as a beautiful overpriced bachelor flat on the Atlantic seaboard to a nice little manageable situation. But it's part of that kind of journey towards the area we want to live in. We can't afford Constantia yet, but we've got our path. Everyone has an emotional quotient when it comes to buying a property. When looking for that area, do we look for an area that's on the up and up, where property is still low? Do we look for an area that is guaranteed for the resale, that's already established itself? As a first-time buyer, what should we be looking at in terms of that balance?
So, yeah, it's obviously a very emotive experience to be buying a property. There are factors that drive people to buy an area, such as growing up in an area, family, which are good reasons, community, religious institutions that you want to be close to. Schools is a massive driver of people selecting an area, and then affordability is the realistic side of picking an area
that brings you back down to earth,
So my advice, position is what I was taught from a young little kid growing up in a property family. So I would rather suggest buy the worst house in the best area than the best house in the worst area. So I think you can always change the property, the house, but you can't change the actual location and the property itself.
That's literally what I had to do.
Wow.
That's literally what I had to do. I couldn't afford to be in the area I wanted to be in, specifically with the house I wanted, so I had to downscale, buy something old, and eventually we can work towards getting back to that state.
I mean, eventually, you like rebuilt it in a day.
Yeah, you think those crazy things. But it's not just that we have to think about, right? Because there's also this factor of like what you can afford, which is obviously the deciding factor. When it comes to that decision, when it comes to buying that property, do we have any way to, let's say, change that decision or change that process? Can we negotiate with, let's say, our banks or the seller or anybody in this process? Is there room for negotiation, or is it just, it is what it is, take it or leave it?
Okay, so I negotiate everything.
Okay.
So I think for me, everything is negotiable.
Okay.
If you don't ask, you don't know. So you've got to kind of push the boundaries. So with respect to the banks, if you are using a mortgage originator such as Uber, who's going to be shopping it around, they're going to put it up against a group of banks, and they're going to compete to get the business depending on what their book wants. So that will kind of secure the best rate for you. Once you get that rate, it doesn't mean you even have to accept that. Try and push it, because there's nothing more important than the interest rate. Over a 20, 30-year period, it becomes a massive amount.
People are feeling that right now.
When it comes to the seller, and hopefully you are dealing with a reputable agent who understands their seller, you need to ask certain questions. Why are they selling? When do they want to move by? How desperate are they to sell? You want to be asking your agent factors such as, what are the average sale prices? Not for sale, but what's actually sold in the area as a comparable.
Okay, what's that baseline marker? Okay.
You want to ask your agent as well, what is the average list time and how long has this property been on the market? And then you want to ask, what is the average differential between asking price and selling price? Once you've got that information, you've got a good indication of how bullish you can be on the offer.
For sure.
And give it a try there. Remember, your agent is obliged to present any offer you put down in paper. So give it a go. You obviously don't want to go and alienate your seller either, but I'm all for negotiation.
I like that. Some valuable
If you don't ask, you don't know, man. You just don't know. So I'm going to ask, my friend, are we buying or are we selling?
Yeah, is it a good time?
What is the market like right now?
If I had a rant for every time. So my answer actually surprises people in that I say maybe.
Okay.
And the reason I say maybe is because it's different for every person. If I'm sitting in front of someone later on in life and they're sitting with their capital that they want to put in property, I'm going to say no. If you're newly married and you're looking to build your home and develop, I'm going to be probably advising you to go ahead with it. If you're an investor, I need to see your portfolio and understand how you're sitting and if there's space for it. But I've actually recently done a LinkedIn post on it, and I put my money where my mouth is because I'm actually buying property at the moment.
Oh, really?
I am
Okay.
bullish property, investment properties particularly at the moment for a couple of reasons. Once you get past the interest rate and the economics and the political situation, and all of that to me is noise, and you look at the basic fundamentals, I'm hoping that interest rates are peaking. Tourism is booming in South Africa at the moment. The Airbnb market is very bullish. Inflation has driven up construction prices. So naturally, your replacement prices and the rest of the market are all going to push up. So I'm taking a long, as you have to do in property, 5-10-year view.
Yeah.
And I'm bullish property in South Africa, specifically, obviously, Cape Town.
I was going to ask, where are you buying, buddy? Well, take nothing away from the 71% of those buyers in Bloem who have just started this first home ownership journey. I mean, I'm starting to feel like it's 2010 again. We can feel the good times are coming, but that's only on the back of having done the hard yards. So if you're in that position, then maybe it's not just as simple as a buyer or seller market. It's about what matters for you. And that's when you need to start talking to the big guns. And I think NEDBANK in this case really do want to help you make that dream a reality, but also to maintain that. So negotiate with them as well. And if you take out a home loan with NEDBANK and open a transactional account with them, you could also qualify for up to 20,000% cash back, plus 50% off your attorney bond registration fee when applying online.
That is a massive saving, man. All right, I'm going to go check this out. I suggest you do the same thing too, especially if you are getting involved in a home and want to reduce that anxiety. Just visit nedbank.co.za. Simple as that. Ross, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jet.
Join the bank that's best for your loan. Choose up to 200 Rand cashback monthly with a personal loan. Apply for a personal loan and a savvy account today. NEDBANK. See money differently.